one. And this is just to remind you of all the resources Google has for us at our fingertips. That is, if you are coming from the Microsoft Word environment, or you're one that just absolutely loves Microsoft Word, and you're like, I just don't quite understand the difference between Microsoft Word and Google Docs, no worries. There is a resource directly for those types of users. If you're looking for how to switch to Docs to Microsoft Word, you might want to check this out. One of the biggest differences that I hear from users from Microsoft Word to Google Docs is, where is my stuff? Where I don't understand where to find fill in the blank. You're missing the ribbon, maybe. You're missing the ribbon that you have. We're all creatures of habit, including myself. We like to do the same thing, or we like to just kind of do the same thing to do that same action. And that takes time and adjustment. So in this document, you will see that there is how to fill in the blank, do it in Word, how you do it in Docs. So this can really help you out. Like if you're trying to do tracking of adjustments in documents, well, that's in Google Doc land. It's not called tracking. It's called making suggestions and comments. So sometimes it's just verbiage, understanding what you're trying to do. So this is a really good resource if you are that user that's struggling from Word to Docs, and just maybe like a resource to understand better than what I give you. So again, all this information is on the training page. You can get to the Google Docs and see. The other resource on here is our GoogleHelp-Iowa.gov Google Docs page. So if you go here, I just want to remind you, GoogleHelp.Iowa.gov is our resource bin for all Google Workspace items. And we like to update our information what Google updates it. As you know, Google likes to update things. Change is not a naughty word. And so one of the things that we find as support help is we just like to link it to Google's resources. And these are really powerful resources. We have a cheat sheet, a Get Started, and a Google Help on every single Google Workspace app that we have. So this Google Workspace tab up here will navigate you to all the different workspace apps that we have either a cheat sheet, a Get Started, and a Google Help. Cheat sheets are great one-page items that help get you understanding the app that you're referring to. Get Started, it's kind of more of like, where do you fall in? Are you an intermediate, beginner, advanced? Where do you want to need to get started? So these are really powerful resources that Google provides. And the thing is we want to use the Google resources because we know they have a few more employees than we do. And so they always have the most up-to-date resources. As you know, having resources up to date is a really a minuscule task, but could be very overwhelming, right? So please definitely check out. Anytime you see a cheat sheet, a Get Started, and a Google Help, you'll find more resources regarding any app that you're on. So just a reminder of the resources that we do have available at your fingertips. So again, I know some of you are joining late. I'll just repeat myself one more time. You can go to googlehelp.iowa.gov and go to the training page and go to the live stream resources. So if you go to googlehelp.iowa.gov, you can go to the live stream and you'll be able to find this exact same document in that folder infrastructure with the smiley face. So if you want to go ahead and open that up, you'll see it. And we are on objective 2. Now, this is where I am providing a little opportunity for you, for those that are live stream, or for those that want to watch this video at a later time. You will see there is a big red highlighted item here, and it says make a copy of this document. So if you want to go ahead, you can make a copy and you'll have your own working document to mess with today if you choose to. Again, we're going at a pretty fast pace, but maybe you'll get 1 or 2 things from here and at least have a working document for you to mess with today. Why some of you may are doing that, I see that some of you are on this document. You might want to go ahead and do that, but let's make sure we know how to access docs. Where are our docs? How do we start from scratch without making a copy of a Google Doc? Well, we have many options. Let's navigate on how to do that. You can always open a new tab, and you can always access the waffle, and you will find an app up here that's just for docs. That will get you to docs. This is going to be filtering all your docs that you have under that account, and then you also have the capability of creating a template from here. So that's one way to access Google Docs. So you will see all your recent documents that you currently have been on. and a template gallery. Again, this is where I don't go this way very often. Some people throw me off and they go this way all the time. So we all have our own way of going to our docs. The other way is you can always go to your Google Drive, which maybe some of you already do. I hope my computer's not going to be slow today. Drive.google. And we can get to our drive by going to the waffle and finding what shape. The triangle will get you to Google Docs, to Google Drive, excuse me. I'll blame the weather today. I'll blame the weather. All right. So you can go to Google Docs by going to the new button right here and finding Google Docs option there. But I want to point out the reason why I'm even showing you this is a lot of people don't even notice the little, if you hover over an app, you have a little triangle option. This little triangle option gives you two options. Choose your path. One, create a blank document or from a template. So Google gets kind of a bad rap that we do not provide templates like Microsoft Office does. That's incorrect. Just maybe a different way of getting there. So you do have a newsletter or a resume template that you may want to steal and borrow someone else's work and designing it. You can always choose Google Docs templates and use them to get you started. So you have from template or Google or blank document, your choice. You want my ultimate favorite way to create a document is I actually don't even go to Drive. I go to, in my URL box, I will just type in doc.new. Docs.new. How about I type it right? Docs.new. And it will give me a blank one on the go. You can do the exact same thing with sheets.new, slides.new. You can do that with any of the doc editors, and it gives you a blank canvas. And I do that a lot. Like, it's just a quick way. I go up to my Omnibox, also known as your URL box, type in docs.new and etc., and you will then have a blank canvas. I do want to remind you, it is still best practice to do the following items. Always name the document. Always name the document and put it in a location that you will find it. So in this case, you would make sure you put it in a folder infrastructure or create one as you go. Why do I want to remind you that is no different than what you've always done? In Microsoft Word, what do you always do? You open a blank Microsoft Word, you save it, and you put it somewhere. The only difference here is now you have to name it and locate it because Google automatically does what? Saves all the time for you. So you have actually one less step and you're never going to lose your file because it's automatically being saved. So just get in the habit of always naming it. Google's helped you out recently. You'll notice that it doesn't really like your untitled documents. It'll prompt you. Don't you want to name this first? But what we always seem to do is forget to actually put it somewhere in a location, right? Make a good infrastructure. You can do that by even clicking on the folder or I go into File, Move, okay? So be in a conscious effort to continue that best practice. Going back to the Google Docs objectives, we've already kind of went over where can you find Google Docs or create them. So we've done docs.new, we went to Google Drive, and we went to the waffle. 3 top ways to get to a Google Docs. There's actually a few more, but right now those are the top 3 ways. Within that, though, I have provided you a copy where we're going to be working on this together if you choose to. If you want, you can go ahead and make a copy of this document. You'll notice it will make you a forced copy, which we'll learn that in the future, how to make it a forced copy. You'll go ahead and make a copy. What should you do next? Obviously, name that file, not instead of copy of. That's not going to help you. You always want to maybe rename it. And how to rename a document, you can go up to the top of the name of it and click inside that box and name it. You'll notice then you have a text box, and I'm going to go ahead and remove copy of, and I'm just going to type in my name. In this case today, I am Trainer 13. All right, I have now named it. What's the other best practice that I recommend? I named it. I need to do what? I need to create a folder infrastructure and keep it in a nice way to organize it, right? So I can either go to File, Move to, I could go to File, Move, or I could also click on the folder icon and create a folder infrastructure. Either way, it's going to give me the same pop-up window. And I don't have a folder infrastructure created. Good news, I can create one on the go. I can click New Folder, and I'm going to go ahead and type in Google Docs Training. That is the name of the folder I'm putting this document in. I'm going to click the blue button to create a folder. Then it will tell me that my folder is empty. This folder is empty because I have not put any items in there. And now I'm going to go ahead and select Move Here. So I have done best practice to naming that file, which in this case is my Google Doc. I have then put it in a folder infrastructure so I know where to find it later. All right, now that I've done that, let's start diving into objective 3. So if you're following along on this document, again, you can find this document on the training page. I just want to remind you, we're going to do objective 3, which is a quick tour of the menu items in the toolbar. Remind you, this is beginning training. You're probably like, why am I doing this? Well, here is the why. The why is because most of us struggle to find what you're looking for. Most of you know how to run a doc editor. You know how to use Microsoft Word. As I mentioned earlier, you do not have the ribbon that you're used to seeing in Google Docs that you are in Microsoft Word. So we just need to kind of see where the basic stuff is, and you'll realize there's a lot of similarities between Microsoft Word, where you would have found File, Save As. In this case, we don't have to worry about saving, but would be found in File. File Print was probably in Microsoft Word. So you're just going to be able to see there's some similarities as we quickly, keyword quickly, going to go through our menu items. Maybe you will see new buttons that we're going to discuss either now or in the advanced training that, like, I didn't know. For example, when you see a blue button, approvals is pretty new. And you're like, I didn't know that. You need to make note of, Google likes to emphasize those new things that are coming out. And that's a great way to recognize what Google is now have for you to use within your Google Workspace environment. So under the File menu, you can kind of see make a copy, email, download, version history. You can kind of see the basic functions and tools that you have under File. Okay, so just kind of take a quick glance. We will be going over page setup and some other things in here today. If you move over to the Edit, this is very similar. Edit means like copy, paste, select all. Also make note, in these menu items, you do have the shortcut keys if you like. Many of us probably use most of these that fall under the Edit. Control X, Control C, Control V as in Velcro. And also, so if you are like a love your keyboard shortcuts, you'll definitely want to check that out. Okay, so kind of just know that we will be doing paste without formatting today, one of my all-time favorites. If you go on and move over to View, you will see View as an option. You will see that I would recommend, especially in this training exercise, is that you make sure you have print layout checked marked, because that gives you the objectives on the left-hand side. And those objectives are created by using headers within Google Docs, also known as paragraph formatting. And that gives you the capability of navigating through a very long document. So you want to make sure you have print layout turned on under View. The next one is Mode, which we will be discussing today. We'll be doing suggesting, viewing, and etc. Many people don't think there's a ruler within Google Docs. We like our ruler in Microsoft Word. You do have that capability. And you can see some of the other options as well as you quickly look at the View menu. Probably the most used menu item that I use is the Insert menu. Definitely check out the Insert. Look at all the different things that you can add to your Google Doc, such as brand new, add watermarks. That's awesome, right? We will be doing today special characters and equations. In the advanced one, we will be doing footnotes and headers. So kind of be aware of that. So we have a lot of things that you can insert your Google Doc to do much more with. Formatting, this is maybe if you are so used to the ribbon, you might be like, how do I make the text a different color? Or how do I do headers and footers? That's also known as paragraph styles. This is actually the same terminology in Word. So you just can see what options you have to format. Now, I'll be honest, I actually use the toolbar versus the format menu item, but you'll find that you'll be able to do most of these same tasks multiple ways. So that's the beauty. If you're stuck, what action are you doing? Then look at the menu item and think what that might fall under. The next one is tools. You'll notice this has a lot of fun things to do, such as voice typing, which we will do in the advanced training. We will talk more about translating and comparing documents. Today, we will talk about Explore and so much more. But tools is like more of like the advanced features within Google Docs that you may not realize that we have available. Add-ons we will not discuss today. But if you click on Help, you'll notice that you do have Google's help right at the fingertips. You can search just like you can in Office, like search for a menu and then it'll highlight where it might be. So if you're looking for something particular, it will then highlight where it's at in the insert. You also have Docs help, training, updates, and some keyboard shortcuts. I will not be discussing keyboard shortcuts, but if you are a keyboard shortcut user, I strongly encourage you to check out this. And in our Google Currents page, we have a very valuable resource from Alice Keeler that's really a nice poster of keyboard shortcuts if you are that user. The other thing is I want to point out is the toolbar. This is a dynamic toolbar. This means it will change. It will change depending on what you have selected. Example, if you have an image selected, your toolbar will change. It's only going to provide you what you can do with that particular item that you have selected. That's very important to know. So it's very good to just like, what do you have selected? You can't find what you're looking for. I would scroll up and look at your toolbar. Okay. If you don't know what the icon means, no worries. Just hover over the icon. It will tell you what action you're taking. In this case, I'm highlighting the letter B. It's also then telling me it's bold, and it's also telling me the keyboard shortcut if you like to use that. So if you're unsure, especially like some of these other ones, like decrease and indent, which we will discuss shortly, you'll see that that will at least tell you what you're trying to do when you hover over those buttons. Okay, so just be aware of that. The other thing I want to point out is that you also want to be a right-click user. I know if you've been in any of my trainings, I always tell you right-click, and right-click some more. One, because it's something that most users do anyway. So we just, for some reason, think we cannot right-click in Google land. That's incorrect. You can right-click. Just know when you right-click, it's just like anything. It's only going to give you the options that you can do for the items that you have selected or you have clicked. In this case, I have selected a text. Look at the options I have when I right-click. So more than likely, a right-click is not more likely, it is a shortcut. It's going to probably give you what you're looking for anyway. So all else fails, right-click if you cannot find the action that you're trying to do. Now that we have completed Objective 3, which is the tour of the menu items and toolbar, we are going to start with Objective 4. This one is just to make sure we have the page set up the way that we want. So this is where we want to make sure our margins are right. You'll notice in my screen, I do have, I'm going to blow mine up just a little bit so you guys can see it better. I do have my ruler on. So, oops, maybe not that big. All right, so I'm going to go to File, Page Setup. Scroll down to File, Page Setup. You will then see what your page is currently set up. No pun intended there. You have the how to apply it to the whole document. We won't be discussing this, but you do have the options to have segments or sections within your Google Doc, and you could actually apply different setups per those sections. So that's something for those maybe more advanced users that really like one thing. For example, page 1 to be portrait, page 2 to be landscape. You can do that, right? Depending on what kind of report you're trying to do, more advanced word editing features, you do have that capability within here. So know that you can adjust it at the section level. What orientation do you want? Portrait or landscape for your most used documents, right? Or this document is what we're actually focusing on. Most of us are probably doing a paper size of 8.5 by 11, but some of us may be doing a poster and using a tabloid size, or using a legal size if you're from a courthouse and you have to use that or something. But you have some different options here to adjust the paper size that you need. You also can add a background color. You can change a page color. So maybe you want to change it to black for some reason, or pink. You can do that as well. You do have the options of margins. I'm going to keep mine at 1 because that's usually what I use, but feel free to adjust it. You can always have a margin be 0.5 if that's something you need to have. The good news, no matter what, if this is a certain standard that you want to follow, or maybe it's your branding guidelines, it has to be this page size, whatever the case may be, you can actually set it as your default. So every time you create a Google Doc, this is what I want it to be like. I want it to be 0.5 margins. I want it to be tabloid size. I want it to be landscape. Like whatever your default is, I don't know what your default is, but you can set it as your default. You will notice up at the top, we have a new option called Pageless. This is a brand new announcement. We're not going to demonstrate this, but Pageless lets us have more of a dynamic, bigger, wider space to work with. That's really what Pageless is. It's for this like huge table that you're trying to embed. It's a great use. Many of us aren't really printing anymore, right? So we really just want more real estate. And it gives us the capability to add wide images, tables, consume more content without dealing with those nasty page breaks. This might be very helpful for you, right? Working on a document, collaborative, having more real estate. And you can see that is an option if you want to. You can also adjust the background as well. So we're not going to change that, but just so you know that that's a capability for you. So now that we've really done some really boring stuff, let's dive into the fun stuff. So the next thing we're going to do is objective 5, which is edit and format a document. Again, I'll just remind you, this is beginning, so that's where we have to go over. We have to start somewhere, right? Beginning, we have to, objective 5 is to edit and format a document. So we notice here, we're going to discuss bullets, numbers, and checklists here. And on this document that you can get off the Google Help training page, you can kind of play with this. You can then add bullets, right? So a lot of times we have the list already created, or we're creating on the go. For this demonstration, I'm going to highlight the list that I have, and I want to add bullets. Now, I'm going to show you probably the way that I do it most of the time, but again, you have realized that Google lets us do it multiple ways. So we're trying to format something. Where do you think this is under? It's under the format option. If I want to add bullets, it's under formatting. So again, we can do bullets and numbers and checklists from the format option, okay? But let's practice the toolbar. So over at the top, you will find a toolbar, and you will see, maybe you don't know which one is the bullet. You can just hover over, like I mentioned, and it will tell you this is a bulleted list. I'm going to click on the drop down, and I get to select select any selection. Maybe I like the stars. Maybe I like, I don't know what that is, the arrows. But I'm just, for this demonstration, I'm just going to select the first one. All right, so then you'll notice I now have bullets. Yay. We also know, in fact, this is nothing new. If we move the cursor to the what is Google Docs and I hit tab, it's going to do what? Indent it. Indent that text. Nothing new there, right? But what people do struggle with is they can't understand how to go back, right? We have to indent or increase or decrease our indentation. Okay, so it's a little different in here. You would probably find it up at the top. I'm a little more blown up, so you probably don't. But you're going to see a decrease and an increase of indent. You should recognize these particular icons because they are available, the same icons in your Gmail, because your tab doesn't work inside our Gmail as it does in Google Docs. So you need to know that you can increase and decrease your indentation with these icons. So if I want to increase, obviously that's going to make that particular item go in further, as it just did. If I want to decrease it, it's going to go back, right? So this is one way that you can do that. So you can just tab to get in there, but it's very important that you're aware of these buttons, because what happens is I try and educate you in 2 apps at once. Gmail has these buttons as well. So if you're understanding, like, how do I tab in, you have that capability. Okay, so that's how you do that. So make sure you're aware of those 2 buttons. Let's do a numbering. You're like, well, what's the same difference with numbering? Well, let's just talk about that a little different. Let's show you another feature. You highlight those items that you want to list, and you have a numbering option, which we know by now. We can also do it under the format. You have a numbering option up at the top of the toolbar, and you have many different options depending on what your style that you want to select. For demonstration, I'm just going to select the first one. Once I have selected the style, I have the same capability of indenting, increasing or decreasing my indentation, just as I shown before, right? So I don't need to repeat that purpose of the training. But what I do want to point out is that if you actually click on number 4, for example, if you click on number 4, let's say, for example, I have now done with my list 1, 2, 3. Now I'm ready for my next set of lists to be 1, 2, 3. How do I restart that numbering to start with number 1 again? Well, guess what? I'm going to right click. I have number 4 selected. And now look at these options I have when I right click, either on a bullet or on a number. I have the option to restart numbering. I have the option to change the format. I have the option to make it a checklist. I'm not going to go through all these options, but look at all the options that you have available. Probably the most used one is restart numbering, because now I want it to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go ahead and restart numbering. And where do I want it to start with? I could adjust this to whatever I want, obviously, but I want to go ahead and click OK, because I want it to start with 1 again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I can also right click on this bullet up here, and I can do similar things and change. Maybe I want it to be stars. So you can see where this makes it a really easy change. So guess what? Right click is your friend. Let's move on and do the checklist, because this is a little different functionality. I'm going to go ahead and highlight the checklist. And I'm going to go ahead, and you'll notice that's under right here, checklist, because sometimes I have to look. Again, it's under format, but checklist is right here. I can click on checklist. Now, this is more interactive. So for example, now that I've added the checklist, which is right next to your bullets, you'll notice if I said Google Docs are fun and I'm done with that task, checklist, get it, to-do list, it has now got the strike through, a slider color in gray, and so on. So you can see that those actions have been done. The total item has been completed in that to-do list. So it gives it more of an interactive function. So that's one thing. I'm not going to go over like bold, italicize, and underline. That's pretty self-explanatory. So we can obviously highlight an item, make it bold, italicize, underline. One thing that people do struggle with just a little bit is the text color and the highlighting function. So you can actually click on the A, which is a very similar A in Gmail. Let's say, for example, I want it to be blue text. So the A is actually the text. So you will see that what is Google Sheets is now blue. And now I can highlight the highlighter, and I can now select a highlight. So think of it as a true highlighter that you would do on a piece of paper. It's a highlighter pin for a reason. Yellow seems like a good highlighter color. And now what is Google Sheets is highlighted in yellow and in blue font. Okay, I can get fancy and make it bold, italicize, and underline, and all those good stuff. One other thing that's kind of confusing within Google Docs that people can't seem to find very often, and again, I kind of take those questions and try to implement them in training, is that spacing. Spacing seems to be kind of hidden. So for example, if I highlight this information, what is my spacing between lines, right? What is it set for? Well, that's over here. Line and paragraph spacing is there for you. It's also under format. So again, we're kind of just talking editing and format for a reason. You will see that line and spacing is there. We know what's centered. We don't need to do all that. You have some, we've talked a little bit about increase and decrease and dent. Okay. You have some dentation options, but actually spacing seems to be one that people struggle with. You can see that right now it's 1.15. Maybe I want it to be single. Maybe I want to add a space before the list item. Maybe I don't want a space after list item. You can see prevent single lines and so much more. So you have a lot of options there. So let's pretend this is a research paper, and most research papers like it to be double spaced. So if I highlight either going through the formatting or going over here, I can now adjust quickly the spacing of double. Again, I'm not going to go over every different option, what's available, because that would take almost all day. But the point is to make sure you're aware of the spacing options you have either in the toolbar or under the formatting. All righty. We are still in objective 5. And here's my little lecture. I give this lecture a lot. I give it to my kids. Kids, adults, everybody spends way too much time in our formatting of whatever we're working with more than our content. We get stuck. Either we're not as savvy with the formatting. How do we make it look pretty? So we need to find time, ways to save time in dealing with the formatting. Okay, the content enough is hard enough to do. Let's do the formatting portion and find easier ways to format documents. Here's one. Okay, here's a couple good ones. So a lot of us will copy and paste information. We do that all the time, right? There's nothing new about that. Most of us would do the following. We would highlight this text. This is what you want to copy, correct? Pretend, right? Whatever it is, you want to copy this information. Most of us will either right-click and choose copy, or we'll do Control-C. Or we can always go to Edit, Copy. I don't know which way you navigate, but we know how to copy. Now that it's copied, you're going to go over here and you're ready to paste that information. Same concept, Control-V as in Velcro, Edit, Paste, or right-click and paste. Again, your way of doing that. That is how most of us copy and paste. All right, that format is ugly. I don't want it to be that way in this particular demonstration or this newsletter or this document. I want it to be just simple text. Well, I can highlight that information that I copied and pasted, and now I just want copy and paste this as my option, right? I don't want all the font and bold and all that with that. Notice up at the top right-hand corner of your toolbar, you will then see a /T. You will also see the /T in Gmail, right? Clear formatting. This is going to give you relief. I now have just the text. Now I can adjust the format the way I want to. So that /T, also under Edit, Clear Formatting, gives you the concept of, maybe it's not under that, sorry. Must be under Format. You can clear the formatting. There it is. Under Formatting, you can clear the formatting. Okay? All right. So that's a really good option. Now, what happens if I copy this information, clear formatting, again, and do it reverse? Now I've copied it. I know it's got some ugly font. And this could be from anything. This could be from a website that you're copying from. This could be from an email that you're copying from or pasting into an email. Wherever you're copying the sources, you've copied all the HTML code with it. Whatever it is, even from Microsoft Word, you're copying the format as well. And sometimes that format causes you more of a headache. But all you really want is the text. So you've copied that information. Okay, you need that information, but I don't want all the format. So you have options to also reverse, either right-click, paste without formatting. Notice the keyboard shortcuts, Control-Shift-B. We already know Control V, just add that shift, and now you got it paste without formatting. That's one option. You can go to Edit, Paste Special, Edit, Paste without formatting up here as well. Watch what this does. It's amazing. Oh, well, that didn't work for me. Well, that's a bummer. There it goes. So I put it up here at the top. It was remembering what this one was. That's right. Sorry. So wherever it was before, it needs to go there. I went off script a little, so I didn't put it in the same spot. So let me do that again. The reason I'm going to copy this like we normally do, it works so good. Now, my formatting that is remembering above this is this. So it's going to remember that formatting ahead of time. If I paste Control-Shift-V down here again, Control-Shift-V, it's going to remember what is above it. That's the format that you want to use, right? So it's really a nice feature. So whatever your default is, it's going to remember what you want to paste in there. It works so smooth when you do it inside Gmail. It's just really nice. Whenever if I highlight this information, remember this is bold and it's black ink, and I'm using the Control-Shift-V or Edit Paste Special, Edit Paste without formatting. It's going to then keep it that same exact color. So if you didn't learn anything today, definitely try Edit Paste without formatting everywhere. Saves you so much time. Speaking of saving time, let's do the next thing. So you'll notice the next thing that says paintbrush with this format. If you highlight this bright red paintbrush this format, you have the option to click on the paint roller. I should call it paint roller because it's actually a paint roller. It's paintbrush in Word. Paint roller up at the top left-hand corner, it says paint format. I want you to click on it once. You'll notice then it is highlighted in blue, which tells you that it is selected. You are now going to take the action of painting the format on something. So I really like this red obnoxious font right now, and I have the paint roller. If I highlight now, notice if I click on You're Awesome, it's now or hover over is a paint roller. Highlight You're Awesome, and you will now see in bright red format. Okay. When you click on the paint roller once, it gives you the capability of painting that format only once. Let's think about it as the document is 12 pages long, and you would like to format that particular word throughout the same document to be this bright red obnoxious font. That's a lot more clicks by doing that. So now what you can do is actually do the same thing, highlight the font of your choice, the format of your choice, excuse me. This is my format that I absolutely love. Now I'm going to go over and click on the paint roller twice. 1, 2. Now I have a different option. Okay, so now you'll scroll down and you'll find You're Amazing and You're Incredible. Just highlight that and get that paint roller on there. And you'll notice you still have the active paint roller, so you can do it again. So imagine the document that you're just trying to highlight. Anytime that you see the word your, you could just go in there and click, 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 click. I'm done painting, get it? And I'm going to put my roller away by unchecking it. So that can save you a lot of time. Instead of deciding that it's red font, size 36, underline, bold, how many clicks did you just save? Right? That's the purpose of that. That is the purpose of the paint roller. So the paint roller works both in doc sheets and slides. So if you didn't know that, you learned that. I wish they'd get the paint roller in Gmail, but they do not yet. But doc sheets and slides, you can always click once. In docs and slides, you have the double click option. You do not in sheets. Okay, just FYI. So if you are on this document, if you're not, no worries. But if you want to, you can go ahead and click on Objective 6 on the left-hand side or scroll down to find Objective 6. So if you want to click on Objective 6, it will take you directly there. So you don't have to try to scroll down, because once we start adding content in here, you're going to get lost a little bit. But we're in Objective 6, where I'm not, adjective 6, you should find a big smiley face. We all need some smiles today. We're talking about insert and format image. So one thing that you may or may not know, you can add images to Google Docs. You can do it multiple ways and some really cool ways. Today, we're going to focus on just making sure we know how to format an image and how to insert an image, just because it's just a little different from Word, but not much. So the first thing I would like you to do, I'm going to go back to normal size because my smiley face is a little obnoxious here. I'm going to click on, and you guys can follow along if you have it. If not, no big deal. Just sit and get. You can click on the smiley face, and once you click on the smiley face, you will see the normal blue handles. That's just telling you that you have that image selected. So I have already inserted an image here for you. Once you have the blue handles around the image, you can do several things. Like you probably can recognize the very top. You can rotate the smiley face, make them crooked if you choose to. You can make them smaller. You can do all sorts of different things if you choose. So I'm just going to undo because I don't want to really get too far down that. But you can do a whole bunch of stuff with that. The other thing I want to notice, though, when you select the image, notice your toolbar has changed. As I said, the toolbar is a dynamic toolbar. It changes as we go. So you have some different options that you did not have available before because you did not have an image selected. And one of those options is to image options, replace image, crop. You have some different options up there. So all else fails, that's one way to get there to some of those additional options. What do you think the other way is? That's right click on that image and you will find a whole bunch of different options that you can do regarding the item that is selected. Okay. Go ahead and I would like you to just scroll down a little bit further and click on your smiley face. One of the things that we get asked a lot is how do I format the text around, or how do I format the image around the text? Well, in this particular case, in this particular smiley face, it's in line. Okay, you'll notice it's in line. You'll notice, how do I know that? Because at the bottom it tells me I'm in line. If you hover to the next one, that's a wrap text option. The next one is break text, which is my ultimate favorite. And the other two that we currently have is behind the text and in front of text. Both of those are brand new features and requests from our Microsoft Word users to have for a very long time. So you might want to type in the word smile on top of that image and you'll be able to do that now, which we did not have that capability in the docs. We've had it in drawing forever. But that workaround was not the way people liked it. So you can do that now on top of that. Now, maybe you are one that struggles with this. And you're like, I don't like this down here. But what we can do is you can actually click on the 3 dots either way, or right click and go to all image options. Or you go up here and click image options, or right click and do image options. This is where it's going to give you everything you could possibly do with this image. So for example, we could change the size rotation. So you now see that we have a little menu item over here to dive deeper into this image. We can change the rotation. We can lock the ratio, which most people should lock the ratio when you're dealing with images because they'll make it distorted. We have text wrapping. Now this should give you some aha moments right here. I know this looks very familiar as Word. So if you're like, I don't understand what these little icons are, but I understand these because these look very similar to Word. What is in front of text? Well, it's this option. Behind break text means I give it a freestyle look. I'm going to go ahead and change it to break text because that's my favorite. But you do have these other options over here. You have position. Again, I'm not going to go over all this, but you can change this. But I do like fixed position. That's my preference. And then the other one that's really cool is under recolor. You have the option to change a color. So why would you want to change a color? Maybe you want the smiley face to quickly be pink, or maybe you want a couple of them, like you're doing a grid. Smiley face might be happy, sad, mad. What color? You could quickly adjust the color of the picture. So I might want it to be a pink or a blue smiley face. whatever it may want to be. So what the goal of this particular purpose is just being aware of what you can do in the image options. So again, just knowing that it is there for you, transparency, brightness, contrast, all those things that we want to do to adjust an image. You can always find those image options up at the top, or right click, choose image options or whatever. I'm going to go ahead and close my image options menu item. I'm going to go ahead and close that. With that, though, I would like to point out, though, when I have it now on break text over here, it's in a fixed position on a page. The reason why I like this is I get the freedom to put this wherever I want on the document. So I can move my smiley face to the left, to the right, to the middle, wherever I want. I get the freedom to move it wherever I want without worrying about it. It's not in line with text. It's nothing like that. So just be aware of that. That break text gives you freedom. The other thing you can do is you can bring it to a smaller smiley face if you choose to. The other thing that many people don't realize you can do in Google Docs is actually crop an image. So a crop of an image allows you to remove a portion of the image, right? So you can do it multiple ways. You can double click the image. You can double click the image to get a black line around it. You'll get a black line. You get a black line around it. That's one option. Or you can see up here, it's got the crop icon up here. You can click on the crop, and that will also crop the image. The crop does, for example, if I just want the actual lips of the smiley face, I can actually drag down the black bar and I can remove the eyes. And now I just have cropped the image. Oops, didn't do it right. You got to get the black. You can't get the blue. You got to get the black. And now I have cropped off the eyes. If I want to bring the eyes back into the picture, I would just double click it. And now I have, you can see that the smiley face has not really been gone. I can restore the smiley face by bringing it up. Maybe I want half of his eyes, whatever the case may be. So you have options to do a little bit of photoshopping if you choose to. One thing I want to point out, though, that a lot of people don't realize is, let's say you've readjusted this image the way you want, and now this is a perfect spot, but maybe this needs to change months, maybe it needs to change years. The best way to replace an image is not to start from scratch again. You're actually going to replace exactly what you have. Maybe it's a new year. You always want to replace the image if you want that exact same size, spot, and etc. So replace image can save you tons of time. Okay, so again, this is the perfect spot, perfect location. Everything else, I just need to replace it to say January to February or whatever the case may be. Maybe it's a sad face today. Go ahead and just replace the image. It's going to save you a lot of clicks. And so I have delete, insert image again, start all over. Okay, so replace image, especially if you have it linked to something as well. Okay, best practice, replace the image if you've already got the image the way you like it. I want to just point out briefly and go back. I do want to remind you, there's a lot of resources on the objectives. So like I mentioned, if you're not signed up for Currents, you should. You'll notice I have 2 updates regarding the in front and behind text. Those are brand new current posts because it's a brand new feature. So you might want to check out those. So we've talked about insert and format image. There's a lot of resources here for you. We're going to move on to objective 7, which is insert links. So what's what we're going to discuss next. If you can't find it on your document, you can just click on insert links, which is this objective 7. It should take you to your spot on your page, on your document. You should find objective 7. So you can see here, we're in objective 7, insert links, copy this link. It's a very long length. It looks kind of clunky. We know when we copy links from Google Docs and etc., it can be very lengthy. I'm going to go ahead and copy this link right here. And I want to show you a tool called Rich Text. So I'm going to copy that link as you know how in your own system. I'm going to notice the next sentence. Click here to see upcoming training for Google Workspace. That's a better way to say, hey, check this out, click here to check it out, instead of this, click this link, this long link, right? And so I'm going to highlight the word here after I've already copied that long URL at the top. And I have several options. I'm inserting keyword. I can insert a link either by going to insert link, or I can click on the link icon, or I can right click and choose link, or I can do Control K. If you can't find link, I am apologizing, but there's multiple ways to insert a link. I'm going to go ahead and just insert a link. Regardless, you're going to get the same pop-up. Now, I want to point out it has a magnifying glass. I can actually search and insert something from here as well, but I actually already have the link that I want to link it to. So I'm going to paste that URL that I just copied by using Control V as in Velcro. And now once I see that URL looks correct, I'm going to hit apply. Now, when I click on this, it gives me the link and it would take me to the upcoming training. Then I have the option to copy that link from here. I can edit with the pencil. Maybe it's the wrong link, or I can remove the link altogether. Okay, so that's a really good way to do rich text. I strongly recommend that you do something very similar in Gmail as well. The next thing we have is insert links from Drive. We have a new feature that's available. You'll notice if you just put your cursor in that, don't click on it, but if you just put your cursor in the insert links from Google Drive where it says preview, chips, and replace, there's a long URL right there. You'll notice you have some options. It's bringing up a slide deck that I have put in there for you. And you will see that you have some options to preview it. If you click on this, if you click open preview, it's going to pull up at the bottom right-hand side and give you a preview. What is this that I'm looking at? Then you have an interactive way of looking at this slide deck. Okay. With that being said, that's giving you another way of not opening a brand new tab. We have an option to look at this directly from here. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. If that doesn't, okay, fine that I've looked at it, I'm going to move on. You have some other options. You can choose chip or link. I will do the chip first to see what that does. If I choose chip, I'm going to get rid of that long, nasty URL, and it's going to give me a nice little dynamic link that allows me to have the little icon that tells me it's a slide and the title of the particular slide. Now, if I go up here and undo that, just because I want to show you the other way, you have the option to do a link. This is another way of making it a rich text format. I'm going to go ahead and choose link. So this works really good with items that are inside your Google Drive. Many of us do that, right? I want you to research this particular document that I have inside this document. You have different ways of displaying it. So that's how you insert links, and just be aware of that. Objective 8, this is fun. This is just more fun because I like to teach fun things. You have insert special characters and equations. Now, equations maybe doesn't apply to most of our users, but it still might be useful for you to be aware of. You will see that there's 2 resource documents there for you, but you can see that I have the smiley face there for you. You have the option to insert not only smiley faces, but you do have options like insert special characters of some sort, like a tilde or whatever they're called. I'm not sure what they're called. But let's go show you how you can insert special characters if need be, because sometimes this is needed. So you up in the, I'm just going to go ahead and find some blank space on my canvas, and I'm going to go ahead and insert, and you will see that you have an option to do special characters. This is where 90% of the time, if I'm looking for a special character, I have no idea what I'm looking for, but I can draw it. So for example, if I am looking for that word that I do not know, that's not going to help it, I don't think. Let's refresh. I'm going to draw it because I know it looks something like that, and I can see it. There it is. That is the one I'm looking for, and I can add it in there in my text. Okay, or I can draw a smiley face and tell you how I feel about this weather, or mad face. I'm not happy about this upcoming weather. I can draw it. Okay, You can find other purposes for this. You can see that it'll also tell you your recent characters. If you are using some odd characters for some reason for a report or something, you can do that. You can search your results, and you have different categories as well. Okay, so if you're looking for an arrow and you want to identify it, you have ways to insert special characters. This is just important that you're aware of that. The other thing, I won't go through this very fast, is if you need to insert equations, such as a math equation of some sort, you can go to insert, and you have the option of equations. So if you wanted to do, you can see up here, you have the option to do that as well. And I'm not even going to pretend that I know what I'm doing up here, but you can see all the different relations, math operations, and special arrows that you might need in a math problem. Okay. So again, just be aware that you have these capabilities to do this inside Google Docs as well. So greater than or equals to, you can do that, and you can see that it's going to help you write your equation. Next thing is we're going to do spelling and grammar. I have some exciting news for you coming soon. Many of you always want the Grammarly app. I'm sorry, but that is not an extension that is approved by our security team. But believe me, Google has done a lot of improvements with that. So in Objective 9, I wanted to give you a sneak peek. This is coming. It is not here yet. It's rolling out, but we do have coming out more assistive writing suggestions in Google Docs. You will have more of a word choice, active voice consciousness, inclusive language, word warnings, some of those features that we see in Grammarly. I know that. So those are some things that are coming out. You can see that it's supposed to come out the 14th. Keep in mind, the rollout of 15 days. We might not see it until the end of the month. This is why you join the currents page, so you get those updates when they know they're available. So hopefully that is coming. I just want to look at this. Okay, enterprise, good. It is for us. So we do get it. So just want to make sure that you know that this is coming. It's exciting. More ways to be effective and efficient writer. But Google already has got your back, in case you did not be aware of that. It does have the capability of already using its artificial intelligence to help write better. Obviously, you're not speaking. It's not helping me with that today. But under your tools, make sure that you have all the bells and whistles already set up. So if you go to spelling, you will then see that you should make sure you have show spelling suggestions, show grammar suggestions. You can obviously adjust your personal dictionary. Maybe it's an acronym like OCIO and it always comes up as an error. You can adjust those dictionary things if you want. So make sure you first have those first three all checked. The other thing you might want to check under tools is preferences. You might want to make sure that you kind of have all the general preferences set up. Make sure you have automatically capitalized words, use smart quotes, etc. Again, just making your life easier. Make sure you have your smart reply suggestions on. Less clicks is our goal. There is some substitution, so you can always kind of read, certain things that you might want to substitute, like using superscript for, those types of things. So again, not many people know all that, but you definitely want to make sure you are set up and ready to go to use all Google's bells and whistles. So pretty much all of us know how to do spell check. You can see I honestly did spell things incorrectly on purpose. So you can just go to spelling and grammar, and you can just spell check, and it's going to pick it up if you want to see. And it will correct it this way, just like we're used to. You can accept it, ignore it, etc. Right? Or if you see something red highlighted, you can always right-click on it and adjust it that way. The other thing is some marketing specialists might need to know, like when they're doing Twitter, that they can't go over 140 characters. Word count might be something that you might want to know how to do. You can always go to tools, and you have the option to view word count. So again, small amount of users, but at least tells you the under tools that I have how many characters, how many words. You can also, if you are a marketing specialist and 140 is something you want to know, you can display the count while typing. Okay. You can see where that's beneficial in education a lot, but it can be used in our area as well. The other thing that is used, it used to be used for education, but it can be used a lot. I actually use it quite a bit. It used to be called the research tool. It is now called Explore. Under tools, you have the option to call Explore. You'll notice the icon You'll also see the same icon at the bottom of your screen on the bottom right-hand side. You also see this Explore in Sheets and Slides. I say this every time. Sheets, it's really, really powerful. It is so powerful in Sheets. So if you have not seen the Explore button, click on Explore in Sheets, Docs, and Slides. So go ahead and click on Explore, and then it gives you 3 tabs and 3 options. You have the option to search your docs and web. So let's say, for example, this is old news, but it's coming back again, COVID. Maybe that's a hot topic. Unfortunately, it still kind of is. You'll notice you have the option to search in your cloud, which means your Google Cloud account, your Google Workspace. So everything I have the word COVID is falling up under these documents that I have access to, or anything. It's in my cloud search. And if anything I wanted to add, I could actually click on the plus button, and then it will add it to my Google Doc. Okay, you'll see that it added that, whatever that was. I also have the option to search in my web. So if, for example, if I find an article or a resource and I think, yes, the CDC COVID data tracker, I'm going to click the footnote, and now it's going to insert it as a footnote. That's my source, and etc. I also have images, and which is really cool. Let's say I love this image. This image explains COVID the way I want. You'll notice you get to insert it. You click on it, insert it, and then the beauty of it, it actually types in the footnotes for you. It's helping you sort. And then the other thing, when you do your images and webs, it's just ways to really track what you are putting in your resource document, right? How much information do you know? And it really does help because you do have citation inside Google Docs. That's not something I go over, but you do have citations. You have MLA, APA, for those that apply, right? And I think there's even more. I don't even know. But it doesn't really apply a lot, but you do have citations availability. So if you have a kid in school, definitely helpful for them. But that Explore button, again, is really helpful when researching, because that's where the word comes from. But you're exploring your Google Docs, you're exploring your Google Cloud, which is your Google Workspace account. You're also exploring your web, which is right there. So you don't have to go to google.com. You can go to Google Images the same way inside your Google Docs. You don't have to open a new tab. That's the purpose. So be aware of that tip and trick within Google Docs. Objective 10 will be a challenge for me, and I apologize. Objective 10 is going to be, because I don't have Jolene here today. She is off going on a conference for work. So this is about collaboration and sharing. Now, I'll be honest, I do not talk about sharing much within Google Doc editors because we've already focused on it a lot in Drive. Concept has not changed. It's just what we do, right? But we do know that we can go to File, Share as an option, as an individual file, or click the blue button to share. The concept when you share is you can share to a Google group, you can share with anyone with the link access, you can share to individual people. That concept is the same. In my Google Drive training, I focus on the gear and what options you have when sharing files or folders, that you do have more options when sharing with people. So again, I'm not going to repeat myself, but if that is something you still struggle with, I definitely strongly encourage you to check out, especially the intermediate Google Drive training, where I focus a lot on the sharing. So I'm going to go ahead and just do this like we normally, most of us know how to share a file. So I'm going to go ahead and select trainer 1, and she is the person that I want to work with. And I strongly encourage you to work with people, because 2 heads are better than 1. We all have special gifts. It'd be pretty boring if we all had the same gifts, right? So we need other people's expertise. And one of my expertise is to ask for help when it comes to grammar. I'll make sure I have someone helping me with that. So pretend that trainer 1 is going to help me with this today. So I'm going to bring over trainer 1. I am currently in trainer 13. So just so you guys can do this. And for those that are following along, feel free to share it to trainer 1. She gets all the emails from people when I'm training. All right. So trainer 1 is the collaborator, and she is my grammar expert or whatever, and she wants to help me with this document. Okay, so I did invite her, and I did send her a notification. So when I look at this, I'm going to pull this up. Trainer 1 is going to be nice. She's going to not just change my document right away. Okay, trainer 1 is just going to go in there, wrong document. Trainer 1 is going to be nice. She's not going to just go ahead and automatically change my document. So this would be considered tracking, right, in Microsoft Word slightly. We're going to change modes into suggesting. I'm suggesting that you possibly change this text to this, or I think you should do this versus this. So as a nice person, Trainer 1 is going to be that nice person and change her mode. Now, I gave Trainer 1 edit rights, but I'd rather have her actually just kind of suggest, okay? And that's the polite way of making changes to someone's document when you're not sure that you should be making that ultimate decision, all right? So little tender loving care when you are editing documents. So Trainer 1 is slowly coming up here. And I'm going to go ahead and do, you're just going to have to be patient with me here when it comes up. I had it up, it just took a while. It's still thinking. There we go. Okay, finally there. So Trainer 1 is going to be nice. First thing we know is she is currently, Trainer 1 is not me, it's my friend that's going to be nice. And she's going to change her mode to suggesting. Okay, she can also go to view and change it to suggesting as well. Watch the difference when I change to suggesting. So I click in suggest mode, edits become suggestions, not automatically changes. So for example, let's say I say join Jessica. Maybe I want to say no, join Jolene and Jessica. I'm suggesting something totally different. Notice it did not make the change. It's just giving you green text to show you I'm suggesting this change. Now, any editor can accept or deny these changes. So I'm going to go ahead and make another change. I'm going to go ahead and say need something else. Right? I'm suggesting this change. So I'm making an adjustment. Now, I can suggest on my own document. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But that doesn't seem like that's really going to happen. Either I'm the one that says, hey, this is the way I think it should be. Maybe you're not sure how it should be, right? But this is a way to track changes. And then either an editor like myself, Trainer 1 or Trainer 13, can accept or deny the trainer, reject them. Now, sometimes we might have a lot of tracking or suggestions on a document, and it's so overwhelming. Like, I don't even know where to begin, because every time you make a suggestion, it makes a comment. Okay, so you can check your comment thread up here as well. Okay, with that being said, you can actually go to tools and you can review your suggested edits. So this can help you when you do have a lot to review. So you could just go to the next one. You can see that it's highlighting the one that I selected. I can go to the next one. I can accept or reject. If I accept it, it's going to change it to the way that it was suggested, right? If I reject it, it's not going to change it. It's going to keep it to the original that it was sent. So you see, that's the polite way of making changes to a document. Okay, so suggest mode, really beneficial. You can always go back to edit mode by either going to mode and changing it to editing, or going over here and changing to editing. Okay. All right. So that's a way so-called tracking that you guys would probably use for a thing. The other thing you can do to assign or comment or to provide collaboration is not only is you can actually comment on it. You can notice it gives you an option to suggest directly here as well when you highlight an item. So if you just want to quickly change the suggested mode right here, that's an option. Or you can just quickly add a comment saying, hey, Jessica and Jolene, I thought it was Jessica and John. Or I thought, hey, I think this. Okay, that's a comment that I'm putting on this particular document. Okay, but maybe I have a question on that document. Like, I don't understand the green buttons. Maybe I don't get that. So I'm highlighting the green buttons. I then want to ask the person that's in charge of the green buttons, for example. I would then add a comment This time, I want to ask a particular person about this. I want to tag a particular person to answer this question. Or, hey, I want you to look at this question. Does this sound good to you? So when you tag somebody, you can type in the @ sign, and then it will bring up the directory. So in this case, I'm going to tag trainer 13 again. It might help if I spell it right. So trainer 13 brings up my directory. I can select her. Now I have option 1. Trainer 13 is currently, I can just tag her as a person and not assign a task. Or I could just assign a task to her, right? I could say, hey, review, and so on, right? And then I can assign it to her, and that's actually a to-do. She has to then mark it complete. So I'll go ahead and assign it. And then I'm going to make another one that's more just of a tag, and I'm going to go back to trainer 13 here in a minute. So I'm going to go to trainer 13, do the @ sign again, and I'm going to, I keep doing that wrong. And I'm just going to say hi. This time I did not assign it, okay? So those are some ways to comment. Now, each comment is always in the comment history. So I'm going to get out of trainer 1. Thanks for bearing with me. One person is kind of hard there. Now you can see I'm trainer 1. I'm trainer 13. I'm back in the original. This is who I am. It's trainer 13 today. You can see then this one, it says it's assigned to me. So notice a little different than the one that I just tagged. This is an actual task. I need to do something on this document, right? And so I have the option to mark as complete. And then it goes up there. And this one, I can mark either as resolved. I have 3 dots here where I could do link to this comment, which would be very beneficial, right? Maybe trainer 13 hasn't really done their job, or trainer 1, hey, let's really look at this part of the document. I'm actually linking to that comment in that document. You have that option as well. So it's really powerful to comment in between. Like most of us have done that. But the tagging is really helpful. If they're tagging someone, then they know that I'm supposed to look at that. So if no one's really paying attention to your comments, tag them. Put @ their email, get their attention. Get their attention, mention them. And again, all the comments are right here, and you have some ways to sort your comments as well. So you can see all comments. You can, because some documents can be so overwhelming. What comments do you need to look at? Which ones have been resolved? When was that resolved? So do make note that you have a lot of history right here, right? This is kind of how some documents are built, is by collaboration and so many comments. And hey, Joe approved this, but so-and-so did not, right? They didn't like this verbiage, but now we changed this verbiage. This is a lot of tracking that you have in here. So definitely make sure you're aware of that. Okay. The other tracking you have inside here is that you actually get to see who did what and when. So under File, Version History, we can see the version history of the document. Remember, trainer 1 was just on this document. She did make some changes, right? So what changes did she make, right? Well, you actually, in version history, can see all the changes that took place when it was saved. So you can see that trainer 13 and trainer 1 have been in this document. I can actually click on this version at 214, 213, 212, 206, and I can see what changes took place. And you can see the colors that have been done on this document to determine who did what. So if I get down to this portion, so you can see I added that image is highlighted in green, which is me. That was when that image was added. Let's go up to 214. And you will see the changes will then be in purple. I gotta scroll down again. But that is the beauty of the version history. And the beauty is sometimes I'll start typing in the wrong document. And I'm like, oh, this is the wrong document. I should have not been typing on this document. I probably need to actually restore to a certain version, restore to a different version. Or maybe I want to rename this version, saying final version so-and-so. I am no longer going to have to worry about version 1, version 2, version 3, and etc. I can maybe make a new template or make a new copy of this version of this time. I can make a brand new copy of this version at this time. I mean, this is huge. So if you have not seen version history, you need to get in there. It has a lot of capabilities. This has like saved me huge headaches. How many of you have filed, saved over, and replaced a version in Microsoft Word? I have many times. I still do it in Google Docs, but I don't even spread it anymore. I just go back. Oh, today was today. I didn't mean to make any of those changes today. I was in the wrong document. Restore. So file version history is huge, 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 huge. The other thing that has helped me out in my job is like, have you even looked at my document? So for example, I had a time where I was like, you're asking me to do a weekly summary, but are you even looking at my summary? Why am I spending the time to do that? I'll be honest. And so I will actually like, why? So I would always check my activity dashboard. Have they even looked at it? I have a whole bunch of viewer trends. Sometimes on my documents, such as resources, I will see, are people looking at my document? Are they even looking at it? Do I need to update this? So I would actually go to my activity dashboard, and I'll show you how I got there again. I went kind of fast. You can also see the sharing history. So how many times, who has shared this document out? It has a lot of privacy settings in here, a lot of content that you might be wanting to check out. So activity dashboard, I'll go there like, hey, have you looked at my document yet? I kind of need you to. Then maybe I'll send a nudge saying, hey, I see that you haven't looked at my document. Maybe we should. So that's over there by the lightning arrow is what I call it. Or you can go to tools and go to activity dashboard. So if you've got a document that no one seems to look at and you're like, why am I wasting my time? See if they're looking at it. Check it out. See if they are checking that out. I do want to point that out. I kind of go over that pretty fast because it's kind of like, do you use it or not? But these are all like updates, some of it not the version history. That's been around forever. But if you need more information on that, definitely check out Objective 10. I have a lot of resources here for you if you want more information on those topics. If you're looking for more on that, you can do that. So objective 11 is to how to send a draft, final copy, or print. This is pretty self-explanatory, but under the file option, you have the option to email collaborators. You have the option to email collaborators. You can email this file and email draft, that's new. I don't know what that is. Email this file. We'll then open up a dialog box where you can email a file to them. It's just going to attach it as a PDF. So it saves you from clicking that out, right? So you can actually send an email to trainer 1. Here is this document. It's going to attach it either as a PDF, and what other options you have here? It's a snapshot of this file at this time. This saves you from going to Gmail, okay? I don't use this very often. I'm more of a collaborative. I want you on a live document. But if you want to say, hey, this is what we sent, maybe more to a non-Google user, you could do that. I'm saying this is what we have at this time. It's a snapshot, like taking a picture of it. Okay. You also have the option to do another snapshot concept is going to file, download, and you have all these options. What that's going to do is download it to your local computer or wherever you store your files at on your local system. And it's going to take a snapshot of it today at 2:24. If this is what it looks like now, and I'm putting it in this format now. And then you can decide to attach it, just maybe have a snapshot of it. I don't know what your purpose is. That's one way. The other thing you have is more of, hey, going back to the scenario, maybe not looking at the documents, you can email your collaborators. You can go to email your collaborators, and this would then share it out to your collaborators. In this case is trainer 1. Then you can also send yourself a copy. You can say, hey, it's time to review this contract A. Okay, so this is emailing your people that are on this document. And you can adjust who you want to share it to. This particular document only has 1 collaborator. So those are some options there. You can also go to File Print if you need to. There's always File Print as well, which sometimes I print out my scripts when I'm printing because I need that. You guys don't want me looking here when I'm trying to do my scripts, so I like to look down versus up and over. So sometimes printing is something you do need to do. Objective 12 is actually opening Microsoft Word. We did discuss this in Google Drive training. And also the next one, 14, not 13, we did discuss in Google Drive training as well. So this might be a repeat for some of you, but some of you didn't go to the Drive training, so I'm going to hit this up. Objective 12 is working with Microsoft Word files in Google Docs. You can open Microsoft Word files in Google Docs. So in this case, I'm giving you a Word to actually play with and making a copy of it if you choose to. When you make a copy of it, I want you to make note that it's still a Microsoft Word file. All we're doing is opening a Microsoft file in Google Docs, but keeping it a Microsoft Word file. The other reason why I'm doing this a little bit in this training that I normally don't do is because you do lose some of the bells and whistles that we just talked about, such as activity dashboard. You still get voice typing, which is great in advance, but you don't get the option to compare documents. You don't get all the bells and whistles when you're working with an open with Google Docs concept because it's a true Microsoft Word file. Once we know that, those are just few minor inconveniences for all the benefits it does. You might want to just edit this Microsoft Word file, right? And be able to collaborate because 2 heads are better than 1. You can always do that. And I just want to point out, it's a true Microsoft Word, okay? If you are one of those users that are really struggling with Microsoft Word files in Google Drive, I'm asking you to check out the advanced training in Google Doc and Google Drive. All right, we talk about that a lot. Also, we talk about it in the intermediate Google Drive training as well, because we're working it within Google Drive. That is how we get to use the doc editors within slides, sheets, and docs to use our Microsoft Office files. Google and Microsoft have made a lot of improvements. So just know that you can actually edit a Microsoft Word file in Google Drive is huge because we could be working on it at the same time, okay? So that is just a huge benefit. I do want to point out, even in the document, both documents, I have provided you additional resources on this. You can also open up a Gmail. This document, let me go. These 2 resources are great resources to how to work with Office editing mode. So just be aware of that, which is also in the other document. The other things I'm just going to let you know that you can check out. I'm running out of time, so I'm kind of worried about this. You can approve files, any files in Microsoft Word or in Google Drive. You can have someone approve it. So, for example, in communications, I might have to have Jolene approve any communication that I sent. The thing is, it can be a Microsoft Office file. It could be a Word. It could be a Sheets. It could be anything that's stored in Google Drive can be approved. So you have an option under here, File, Approvals. And now it has this whole new concept where I can have someone approve this document. Hey, this is our new project. Who does it need to approve to? Does it need to be approved by, I don't know. I have to decide who this is going to be approved. I'm pointing this out for a reason. This is a Microsoft Word file. It doesn't matter. It just has to be stored in Google Drive. It can be a Word, it could be so much. I now need to decide who's going to approve this document. I'm going to fill out whoever it is. I don't know who I'm going to have approve this document. Maybe it's trainer 1. Maybe it's my communications director. I don't know. You can decide who that is. I don't know who you want to have do that for. And now I've decided trainer 1. You'll notice all the options you have. You would then type in a message, please approve, add a due date. You have the option to allow approvers to edit this file. Maybe you want to lock it down. Maybe you don't. I don't know. Lock file before sending approval request, you have to make those determinations. Once you make those determinations, you send a request. Trainer one will get it, then she'll get approved. And there's so much more to this. But that's why I added a resource, and I knew I was going to run out of time. I told you this one should have been 3 trainings. Now I know, because Google keeps adding more things, which is great, but a trainer needs to know better. There is a great video in here by Gary, the Google guy. This is a hard one to show on all the ends of what it can do with one person training it. So keep in mind, Gary, the Google guy, did a really good job to show you the entire effect of all of it. So, hey, maybe we should implement this for our communications plan. Definitely. First thing I would do is go to that post that I have there, get approvals, and understand that. Okay, so there's a great resource on that. The other thing I want to point out is that you can convert PDFs and JPEGs into a Google Doc. So let's say, for example, if you went to this folder, you would have 2 examples of that. I'm going to keep going. For those that need to pop off, go for it. But I'm just going to finish this up since I'm so close. Maybe there's no folder there. Did I forget to link it? Oh, maybe I should have stopped. There it goes. When you go to this folder, you will find there is a PDF and a picture. You can always double click it. It will give you the preview. Nothing's changed there. It will give you the preview. But wonder if you have the only static image of that or static PDF and you just need to start from scratch. You can always convert a PDF or an image into a Google Doc editable document. So how do you do that? You just have to open it with Google Docs. So here's a PDF. Here's a JPEG. You can always right click, choose open with the corresponding app. In this particular case, to make it a brand new editable Google Doc would be Google Docs. So again, I've taken a picture of this poster on down the street or this brochure, and I want it to be something I can start typing on. I just need to, if it would go for me, I can do an image or PDF, and I would wait for it to respond. There we go. You can right click and choose open with is an option, or you can choose the drop down if it will show up for me today. Oh. No one to call it quits. Should have called it quits. But I'm going to keep going. I'm going to persevere. Because has anybody ever trained and just nothing seems to always work the way you want it, even though you've prepared? Anyway, you need to trust me. You would right click on this PDF or the image and choose open with Google Docs, and it will convert it to a Google Doc editor. I'm still determining to try this. Anyway, trust me, it works. You right click, open with Google Docs, and it will convert it. So if you don't believe me, there we go. And then you go open with Google Docs, and it's going to convert that image to a Google Doc today, because there it goes. So it's going to make it a brand new document with a brand new URL. Anyway, not the way I wanted to end, but that's how life goes. Again, we will stop for this recording, post it on Google Help. I know this was very hard to follow along. I just know I have both the audience that join live stream, and I know I have people that like to watch the video and stop and pause me. So I'm trying to accommodate both. Please understand that. But this is where Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Slides will be in the same format. Well, it gives you the capability of, hey, she gave me a template to play with. It's up to you if you want to play with it or not. That was the purpose. So at least have something that you have something to mirror and stop and pause me if you can. Or some of you just need to sit and get, hey, I didn't know about doing this, right? I don't know. I didn't know that, but at least I got something out of it. So there's just too many different variables to know what your needs are. And that's why I try to mix it up. So know there's a method to my madness, even if you don't understand it. But there is a reason what I do, because I've done this way too long. So with that, if you have any questions, let me know. give me a reach out to GoogleIowa.iowa.gov or reach me out wherever you need. With that, please stay safe today. Weather looks kind of crazy. So with that, have a great rest of the week. Talk to you later.